I know we haven't done one of these deck profiles in a while, but new set, great set. Let's talk about a great deck. Dark Irregulars, Scharhrot Vampire. Okay, we're going to talk about all about the deck, what we want to put in it, what's so good about it, right after the jump. So you want to play Scharhrot, right? Why would you want to play this deck? Well, if you like drawing lots of cards, Scharhrot will do that. It will basically get you a lot of hand of Number of Terror. If you like multi-attacks, then this does 5 attacks, which is kind of the standard now for protects in standard, but it's still more than 3, right? You enjoy seeing a Mountain of Soul. If you just like that DI Soul aesthetic, this deck will give you a huge Mountain of Soul. And you want to play a relatively simple deck. What do you mean by that? Well, some decks in standard, like the meme is standard is pretty easy, right? But compared to some of the other decks that you might see, like Night Rose, Gear Chronicle, maybe later on you have Luard, lots of multiple lines of play. Scharhrot doesn't really have that many. Scharhrot's a pretty simple deck. You got your bread and butter combo. The setup is very easy, and if you like that kind of stuff with also all these other advantages like drawing cards and multi-attacking, then this is the deck for you, right? So let's jump to the deck and take a look at what it's all about. Okay, boys, let's jump into Dark Irregulars, right? So we're at the cage now. Let's look at the deck. So the deck has been out for a while, I'm not gonna lie, right? It's been in JP for a while. This is basically the deck that I've settled on after playtesting, and for all you English-only guys who don't really pay attention to the JP format, this is for you, right? So first, running 4 Scharlots. It's the main guy, alright? Does everything except Soul Charge, pumps power, makes everything hit numbers, and restands, gives you protect markers. What else do you want? So, one thing with this is that this is the main guy, right? Not much to say. But it combos well with just any card, because it makes any card hit decent numbers, and 5 attacks is always good. 5 attack protect decks, amazing. Secondly, we've got Number of Terror. This card is still doing the work. This is basically what makes, this is your engine, alright? This is the entire engine of DI. Number of Terror gets fat by himself, he draws your cards, and then you double dip on the effects because Scharhrot restands it. So, this is the card that turns your hand from like 5 to 15. You don't want to ride it because it doesn't really do anything. The main ride is always Scharhrot. This is one of those main ride decks where you just really want to ride Scharhrot. Ride anything else, you just feel bad. Okay. We also run 1 Hope on Dump. This is the finisher of the deck. If the game drags on too long, this basically says it ends now. Right? 20 cards in Soul is a requirement. Not that hard to get off. You'll eventually get it if the game drags on enough. And yeah. In Standard, this basically spells GG with 5 attacks. And then lastly, we're running Variance Drag Form. So don't underestimate Variance Drag Form. I'm going to move them away now. Variance Drag Form is the card that glues all your grade 3s together, right? It is the 5th and 6th copy of Scharhrot. It is the 5th and 6th copy of Number of Terror. It is the 2nd and 3rd copy of Hope on Dump, because we only run 1. The most important effect that this has on the deck is that you have more chances of seeing Number of Terror. If you don't see a Number of Terror in your game, you feel really bad and you most likely will lose. If you want to see a 2nd and 3rd copy of a Scharhrot ride, it gets it for you. If anything goes in Soul, if your Hope on Dump goes into Soul, your only copy, it gets it for you. Alright, so DI has a lot of ways to get things into Soul. If it goes damage or drop zone, Killer Tail puts it back into Soul, and then this card will get it for you. So this is kind of the glue that just ties everything together, which is why it's really, really important. And let's move on. So next we have grade 2s. We've got Emblem Master. Very straightforward card. It does everything you want. It Soul Charges 3. It becomes fat, hits 14 with Scharhrot. 14 plus 13, 27 hits good numbers. And picks a card, Soul Charges 3, makes your Killer Tail all work. So as usual, we're running 4. We're running Demonted Executioner as well, simply because there's just nothing better. Demonted feels like a crappy Emblem Master, okay? So instead of targeted Soul Charge, this is just blind Soul Charge, and if you hit a trigger, you can draw a card. It gets 5k on Vanguard Circle early, which is kind of like weird. Because when you play with the Emblem Master, you're just like, wow, this card can at least get power in the rear guard scope, but it doesn't. No, don't get tricked. It's just like a, I don't know how to say, it's a fake Emblem Master. That's pretty much it. And lastly, we're running Rhodia. Rhodia is nice, okay? Some people run Ice Elements, and I play that, and I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It makes things hit 10k, but Rhodia kind of sticks around. Unless your opponent plays Retire or Removal, yeah? At worst, when you ride her, she's like a 7k. And at best, she helps you, she gets fat, she becomes like 12k. And then it's annoying for your opponent to hit into her. And that kind of helps DI's crappy early game, which can be taken advantage of with a lot of other decks. So if you ride a Rhodia and high roll, or get a good amount of soul early, you basically sit there and be really annoying. Later on, she sits on your side, and it's really hard to like attack into her because she's fat. She's like 18k at least, and then she naturally hits fat numbers with restands. So overall, Rhodia is just a nice extra filler card in your filler slot. Let's move on to the grade 1s. Grade 1s, nothing much to say, to be honest. Run 4 Killer Tails, targeted soul charge from anywhere that's on the deck. Also can counter charge as well, kinda. But just really versatile card. You want to pop it down as early as possible, and then clone it with Emblem Master. We run 4 Succubus, grade 3 Searcher. Nothing much to say except you want to get your grade 3s, you want to get Scharhrot, and you want to get Number of Terrors. Lots of good targets for your Succubus to get. And then lastly, we run 4 Yellow Bolt. Now, Yellow Bolt, pretty self-explanatory. Help your soul charge, great first turn ride, and yeah. It just does everything you want it to do. And then lastly, our trigger lineup. Let's take a look. We have, I'll start it here. Cool. 4 heals, of course. This is not a YOLO deck. Then we run 10 crits. So this is the only interesting part of the trigger lineup. Run 10 crits and 2 draws. So because this is you're gonna see a lot of this in Protects in the future. And if you played OTT, you know this idea where you run 2 of the Sentinel crit and 2 OG crit. And that's just because you're a Protect deck, you can afford to run Sentinel crits, because you naturally just get Null Guards anyway from riding. And this Sentinel crit is just a great extra offensive option that you can get. And just a great guard as well, because, you know, 10k guard, like just a 1-card guard is just really amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much why you'll see a lot of new Protect decks on it. When you see something like Scharhrot, you can probably run 12 crits as well, because it gets so many Protect markers. It really depends how comfortable you are with running just slightly less draw, because I know a lot of people just love 12 crits, but draws are good, especially draw nulls. But with Protect, of course, you can get away with the null part. It just, how comfortable are you running less draws? And I think the answer is very self-explanatory. You can get away with it. So let's talk about some strengths and weaknesses of Scharhrot. I might have covered it before in the why you want to play it and just in the deck profile, but let's talk about some of the strengths, right? So, big hand. With Number of Terror and Scharhrot, you get big hand. Powerful multi-attacks, everything gets like at least plus 10 to 13k early on, and then just scales up more and more. And then, so those Number of Terrors hitting just 33ks without boosts, very, very easy. Very, very easy. And then you got your strong finishing option. You got your Hope on Dump. That basically just tells you the game is over when you are able to pull it off. And even without a Hope on Dump, just swing 5 times every turn from the moment you basically ride grade 3 just is really, really strong. It'll just destroy your opponent. So those are the strengths of this deck. You also run 10 crit. You can run more or less, up to you, but that can kind of accelerate the game a bit faster. Weaknesses, okay, so you have a big reliance on getting Number of Terror. If you don't get Number of Terror, this game is pretty much over. You don't draw enough cards, your engine sucks, so that's that. You have low options pre-grade 3. So what I mean by that is that pre-grade 3, you don't really have much of a plan to affect your opponent. You're basically at the mercy of your opponent. If he can choose how he wants to play that grade 3, not you. Sure, you can still throw down a bunch of cards, but you don't really have that effect or hand quality that will let you sustain in the early game, and that's going to carry on into the late game unless you, or into your first grade 3 turn unless you draw Number of Terrors. So what will likely happen is your opponent will decide if they want to damage deny you, they want to let you get that soul, and then you just basically either cry or just suck it up and deal with it. offensively, your cards are not very strong except for like Emblem Master, and then everyone probably has better effects than you. Yeah. And then the other thing is you don't have any good backup grade 3s. You are fully reliant on Scharhrot. Your second best ride is probably just Variant Strike form to get you that Scharhrot that got sent to Soul. So unlike other decks which might have better backup grade 3 weapons, your ones just suck. I know a lot of standard decks nowadays just don't really are basically on that 4 grade 3 train, but you don't even have like a secondary option to search for a grade 3. A lot of these new decks have another grade 1 that searches with specific named cards. You don't. You just have your Succubus, and that is it. And you just hope for the best. So those are the strengths and weaknesses. Let's talk about some combos, or your bread and butter combo, and some mulligan options, right? Okay, so this is going to be the most bread and butter combo that you're going to ever get when playing DI. Two number of terrors, and then basically anything in the back. You're just going to swing with the number of terror first, suck something in, draw 2 cards, swing with the second one, draw 2 cards, Vanguard swing, stand these 2 with the CB. First number terror swings again, draw 2 cards, last one, swing in, draw 2 cards. So you just basically drew 10 cards including your drive checks, and you just felt really good. You basically want to end, you want to begin your battle phase with at least 1 number of terror, and that's all Gucci, especially on your first and second grade 3 rides, because that's when you have a lot of deck. That's when you can basically accelerate your hand a lot and not feel bad. And then later on, sure, number of terrors are still good, they still get power, and they will still be able to draw cards. If you have 2 little cards in your deck, then you can choose not to draw. But it still has the power and just a nice beat body. Like even with 1, right? You swing with this. No, you swing with this, and then you'll swing with this. Suck it in. Bam. Scharhrot swings. Stand both of these. Pop. Pop. Draw 2, etc. Yeah. With that, how much did you draw? You drew like 6 cards, which is still really amazing, and will just basically help you win the game. If you don't have number terrors, you feel bad, and that's just it. You suck. So this is going to be a field that you see a lot when playing against DI. Ideally, they're going to ride like an Emblem Master next turn. That's their only grade 2, so they want to be able to have something to copy, and if they have a killer tail in their hand, they're always just gonna put it down. So if you see something like this, you can choose not to give them any damage. You can choose not to attack, because you don't want to risk them next turn just riding Emblem Master here, copying killer tail, and bam, their soul is set. They also get to soul charge 2 from this. They're basically reaching 13 soul very, very easily. So you can just choose not to attack and just delay that for 1 more turn. It's really easy to see that they only have an Emblem Master in their hand if they do something like this, right? They do that, and they go, okay, he probably only has an Emblem Master, so he really just placed down anything just to copy it. So, well, that's not Emblem Master, but yeah, if he does that, it's the only grade 2. He has to copy something. He doesn't want to give up on the copy, because that means his soul charge will be really, really crappy. And yeah, you can choose not to attack there as well. The other one is like Yellow Bull. That's basically the only grade 1s they run in the deck, right? Really obvious too. Like, at least Succubus, they might want to search for a grade 3 and try to trick you. But if they do something like this, you know they only have an Emblem Master in the hand. So if you deny the damage there, that can be pretty damaging. Always riding the wrong thing. If they ride here, can't copy anything. They get a soul charge 2 off, but that's it. But they're still pretty far. They'll be like, they're 4 soul here, going to the grade 3, they'll have like 5 soul. This can move up and get another soul, so they're probably not going to reach 13 soul, and they might not even reach 10 soul, which means less number of terror shenanigans. You can do some example mulligans as well, so let's look at this. 4, 5, actually just fully garbage. Keep a Scharhrot, that's your most important thing. Throw away 4. And draw 4. So here, we're missing a grade 2. We only run 10. That can happen. Hopefully we develop into anything. We like the problem with this hand here is they have nothing to play down if we even have an Emblem Master. So we're basically just going by luck of the draw here and hoping for the best. So let's see, draw. Even another crit, feels bad. Draw. Emblem Master, done. We're kind of set. Okay, the question is, would you put down a crit trigger just to Emblem Master? I probably won't, just because I don't want to decompress my deck like that. It's pretty obvious when you do. Maybe you play it down and you just tell your opponent, hey, let me soul charge my crits. It's a good time for you. I generally won't. I don't think it's worth it unless you're super desperate. Because next turn you're going to take a damage, ride, we'll draw, ride, nothing. And yeah, that's feels bad. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. Okay, this one is like kind of okay. We don't have Scharhrot. We have to hard go for Scharhrot in my opinion, because we at least have the Succubus to be able to get any number of terrors if we get a Scharhrot later. So let's just begin our turn. We have 2 number of terrors, but no grade 1s, which really suck again. At least we drew the Yellow Bolt, insane. We can just play the Succubus here. So 5. Hopefully we get a grade 3. We get a number of terror, which is unfortunate. Really need that Scharhrot. Boom. We can discard 1. We can just discard like this crit. Next turn we take a damage or whatever. Maybe that happens. Draw. It'll be a Yellow Bolt. We can Emblem Master. So remember to always use your Emblem Masters first over the Yellow Bolt. Just because you might Yellow Bolt and hit some of this, and that means you soul charge less, right? So here we're just going to put out Succubus is in. Perfect. They're all together. Or maybe it's not perfect. Maybe we want Succubuses, right? Maybe we want to draw into Succubuses just because we want to search grade 3s. You can even consider like getting rid of your number of terror, to be honest. Then if you do the Yellow Bolts, bam, bam. Unlucky, no draw. So we're just gonna swing, hit a crit, and then next turn we're screwed. Unlucky, no Scharhrot. But this is basically the idea you want to do. You want a hard mulligan for your Scharhrots, because your deck doesn't function without them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for DI, guys. Hope you guys like this video. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of deck profiles, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.